Well, good evening, gang, and welcome to It's All About Arts. My name is Glenn Williams, and with me here on the set, of course, is Amanda. Hello, Amanda. How are you?
Hello.
Amanda Lamoureux Smith.
You're backtracking.
Lamoureux. See how I am? I'm really, really sorry about that.
You're getting good for a while. But...
I had it. You know, I had it, but down the other side I go. How are you doing?
Good. Bit tired today.
Yeah, we had a great weekend. I want to welcome everybody from Boston Neighborhood Network out there in TV land, and also our good friends at WBCA 102.9 on your FM dial. Thanks an awful lot for tuning in with us tonight. If you're out there in your car and if you're walking the Arboretum or around Jamaica Pond with your headsets on, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate having you here. We obviously are a television program here. We're airing on the radio, but we would love it that you're joining us. So there's a couple of websites we're going to be giving you that you'll be able to go and kind of catch up on what we're talking about here. How are you?
Good.
Good. And the fact that we are live means that you can give us a call on the television. If you're out there on Channel 9 viewing the show, you can give us a call at 617-708-3290. Davey and the great staff are being in the other room answering the phone. So why don't you give us a call if you'd like to join in the conversation.
What did you do this weekend?
Well, this weekend was a great weekend. We had our farmers market, which is fabulous and fantastic. We had Global Gumbo played, which is a big, huge brass band that plays kind of like Dixieland and New Orleans kind of jazz funeral type of loud big tuba and two trombones and all of that kind of crazy jazz. It was a lot of fun. It was good.
Cool.
What have you been up to?
I went to see Wicked.
Oh, you did?
At the PPAC in Providence.
Popular.
The building was beautiful.
I'll bet it was.
Beautiful.
How was the performance?
Good, and it was funny. I was watching them and I was like, oh God, I would love to do something like this. I can dance. I don't mind being on stage. And then they started to sing. And then I realized, never gonna happen.
There's a long road between there and there.
Yes.
Well, one of my students just got a great part in a play, in a musical, singing the song. Her audition song was Popular from that. I guess it's from that play.
Yes. Yep.
So it was great. It was good to have that happen. I've got a couple of things coming up. That I know I keep saying things like, the CD is going to be ready, but we'll have some cuts from the CD for you and a couple of videos coming from. When it's, it is.
You get me excited, and then you stop talking about it.
I know, I do talk about it, but it's done. But we just haven't. It hasn't released.
Release it from yourself.
We haven't released it. I don't know if you know what that's like.
I don't, but I'm trying to push you into it.
At some point, say, okay, it's ready to go. It's not the most easiest thing to do.
Band-Aid.
It is kind of a Band-Aid thing, and I think what I need is I need to develop another project for myself.
Right, so you can go from that to
so
that.
I can transition from that project to another one, and then I can kind of let that one go the route it's going to go, I guess, which is who knows what. So what's new? How did you like Wicked? And what made you pick that?
Wicked. Yep. I'm not normally a fan of musicals, but I did like the story, and I like almost prequels to stories to see kind of how things happen. So I have a friend who lives in Providence, and so she had been asking her husband for years to take her to that, and so she said, forget it, I'm going to invite my girlfriends and we're just going to go, which I'm sure he was like, okay, good.
That's great.
Yeah, and that, and I had started my job.
Yeah, how's the new gig?
Good.
You're a couple of weeks in now, right?
Yep. Good. Time adjustment for sure.
Yeah.
Traffic is an issue, but the concept's on point. The people are great. The environment's good. I definitely have experience in doing it, and it looks like there's a lot of room for growth.
That's great.
And that gets me excited to really stay on my game and keep my head down, keep learning, and
good.
Invest.
Yeah, I think that half the battle when you're moving to a new position, especially it's kind of everything's up in the air. You don't know a lot of the people and stuff. If you're comfortable with the people that you're working with, I find that it really makes it Makes it palatable, makes it easy. The transition seems to be a lot easier. I was lucky when I transferred to the place that I'm working now. When I started teaching at Sacred Heart, it's the people were just open and said, you know, do it.
Makes a world of a difference.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that they hire the same type of person. What I mean by that is friendly, helpful, and have personality. And so everyone kind of just
gels together. It makes for working in that atmosphere. That's great. That's great. We keep getting great reviews on Porch Fest, and I keep telling people that it's something that happens all over now. There's lots and lots of other places that have been kind of following. Somerville was one of the original places in the area to have Porch Fest. The concept.
Do they still do it?
Huh?
Do they still do it in Somerville?
Yeah, they still do it, and I think that the concept is lost sometimes when people, because I've had a lot of people say, well, I didn't get a chance to see this band or that band or what have you, and I've felt I've had to kind of explain a little extra.
It's not like a concert that you missed out on a performance.
Right, yeah, it's a community building event. It's something that, you know, if you're hosting a band on your porch or something of that nature, that you kind of invite the neighborhood out of their houses to kind of get to meet and greet each other and stuff. And I'm finding that happened a lot more this past Porch Fest, which I'm very excited about.
Good.
The other thing that's coming up, of course, is Rosendale Open Studios, which is going to be, it's in October towards the end. I'm going to let people know more about that. We're going to have some of them on here. And that's the same kind of thing. It's an opportunity to get out of your house and to go into the artists' environment and talk to them and meet them under their conditions.
It's a whole different experience.
It's amazing. People don't realize
and
that.
Every artist is different. You know, they do things differently, and to watch them work really puts you in the minds of their creative thinking.
Yeah, we got an incredible artist on tonight that's just coming through that experience. It's going to be great to talk to her about some of her experiences and how she's kind of
excited.
How that made through, right? It'll be fun to talk to her about it. And you know who else we have on tonight? I've talked about this for many times, the mural down in Rosendale Square, which is on the transportation building, much like this building here at B&N. And back in the 70s, I was in an organization fresh out of high school called the Rosendale Association of Youth. And we were partnered up with a group called the Rosendale Civic Association and Summer Thing. Now, people don't remember Summer Thing. Kevin White was the mayor back then, and Summer Thing was this program that brought concerts and workshops and all kinds of different events into the neighborhoods of Boston during the summer to kind of give the kids a little. We were going through some turbulent times in the mid-'70s here in Boston. They were desegregating the schools forcibly, and there was a lot of heavy feelings going on around. And I was fresh out of high school, and I got involved in the community. And one of the things that we did through the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs and through a lot of support from different organizations was brought in a phenomenal artist to do a mural on the side of this huge building. And he's here with us tonight.
Amazing.
Yes, and he's from Florida. In fact, you're not going to believe this, but he dropped his wife off at the airport. She's halfway home. He stayed here to be on the show with us tonight. Jim Higgins is in the building, who is now a folk hero in our neck of the woods. So it's going to be great to talk to him tonight, too. What else is new? Anything? I mean, besides, I'm kind of making sure that you're still working on pieces of art.
I am. I'm not as much as I should be, but I need to carve out, because the busier I get, actually, the more productive I am, because I'm better with time management. So now that I have a very strict schedule. Is it easier
for you to say, okay, Tuesday nights from 8 to 10?
That's very hard for me, because from my perspective as an artist, I use it as an emotional outlet. So my best art comes from when I'm trying to work something out of my head and it's not working, and then I use that. So it's so counterintuitive to me to sit in front of a canvas and be like, I have to paint, you know. But I also need to learn to do both, because, you know, you can't just live your life as an artist up to the whims of your emotions all the time?
I kind of I understand what you're saying, but I can't produce as much that way. I mean, I'm not like someone like Jim who gets come and do this mural. You have this time frame to get it done and stuff like that. I guess I get motivated and I think the piece through, and then all of a sudden I'll know when I'm ready, and it can be at any time, and that's when it's time for me to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not as prolific as a lot of people, but the pieces that I do, they're not bad. But that's kind of like the way I work. I have to have this kind of moment, and it can be at any time. Usually in the middle of the night.
I also noticed I did a lot more art when I lived by myself because I was alone with my thoughts a lot more.
Yeah.
And I also somehow ended up booking a show where I had to fill an entire wall. So then you just paint.
That's another kind of motivation. Yeah. You book yourself to be in a gallery someplace, and the time is ticking off.
And that was before I even associated myself as an artist. So it was a very weird thing to be like, I have to do what? And I have to go on camera, and I'm like, okay. I had to really wrap that around in my head.
Do you consider yourself an artist?
Now I do, yeah.
You do. That's
but
good.
It was an intimidating word for someone who kept things very private.
Right.
And none of my friends or family knew that I did any of that, and I just had notebooks and notebooks of things over the years.
I hate using the phrase new artist.
No, a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that it's been in there all along, hasn't it?
I mean, I think I just realized that was an outlet, and I do think I reflect a lot, and that helped me to get some clarity on some situations, not directly, but just in that time of my life, just having getting it out of my head.
Right. Now you also use a lot of motivational material for your work, and you're going to be sharing another one with us with our weekly motivation, and I think those are great. I think I might have asked you this before, but someone brought it up to me over the last weekend when we had all our artist friends together. Someone asked if you used the motivational phrases before, or did you create something and kind of attach it to it?
So I would write down. I actually started in an actual just notebook, non-lined notebook, and I would keep track of quotes that really made me stop and think.
Yeah.
And then I would go through them, and then somehow I started to go over the penmanship because I was trying to be particular about it. And then somehow I just art would just kind of go on top of that. And so some of them you can't even read what the quote was, which is fun, but also when I try to explain it. So then I started to do that when I booked that art show. I had to put them on canvases, so I would start writing the quote on it, and then I would reflect on it, and then I would just literally let it take me to where that came from inside and how that quote resonated.
It's amazing the different avenues that artists take to do their creations. I mean, and when you're done, do you feel motivated?
No, I feel like I just took a deep breath.
Oh, okay. Something has been released, kind of type thing.
Definitely.
Well, that's fantastic. That's great. Congratulations. I want to see some new stuff. If we can get some new work in here, I'd love to see it.
Okay.
I want to talk just a couple of minutes about this amazing building that we're in. We are in the Boston Neighborhood Network building, where we broadcasting our live television show on Channel 9 and the radio program, which is in many different times and different slots right now. We're working on kind of a schedule on WBCA 102.9 on your FM dial. That is a new thing that's happening here. We're very, very proud to be part of. But being on TV is your outlet, your opportunity to produce your own television programming and to learn about Final Cut Pro and to learn how to use these amazing cameras. We have some great interns and people here working in the booth here. I see a new person over there on the
really good
switcher,
resource.
So does she know that if I go like this? Oh, there you go. Okay, very good. Okay. But they learn those kind of things here and learn how to do television production. And it's a great place where you can come and do that too. So if you have a nonprofit, you know, maybe you want to check it out. And you can go to www.bnntv.org. Where we're actually streaming live right now, and I have to take the opportunity to say hello to Val. Val, we said hi to Val last week too, but I've heard that she actually logs in and watches it live. She doesn't wait for us to be put up on YouTube and stuff. Hi Val, how are you, kiddo? So it's good that to let people know that that kind of thing is available for you here. And if you go to the website, you'll see different things like producing your own programming. You'll get information about having a nonprofit to do here. So if that's something you're interested in, that's the website
Take advantage of it, yeah.
you need to go to. And the other person we have to thank that we're really proud of our affiliation with is the Boston Main Streets program. We really appreciate all the things that they do for us, and we want to make sure that we carve out a minute of the broadcast here on WBCA and BNN TV to thank our friends at the Boston Main Streets program. They're very gracious to be a supporter of this show, and we love them for that. Thank you very much. Well, we've got a great show coming up, and we're going to do your weekly motivation in just a couple of minutes, aren't we?
Yep.
You're watching BNN TV's It's All About Arts, and you're listening to us on WBCA 102.9 on the FM dial. Why don't you, we're going to take a short interlude right now, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. So please, don't go away. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back, gang. Thanks an awful lot for hanging in there with us. I do want to remind everybody that you are watching us on BNN TV right here. We are coming to you live on a Monday night, but you also might be listening to us on WBCA 102.9 on our FM dial, which could be played anytime. So I want to thank everybody for being out there. I also want to remind everybody that you can find us on Facebook. If you put in It's All About Arts on Facebook, you can find us. There's lots of really cool things there. And you can watch us on YouTube. We put up these shows, and it's an opportunity for you to watch some past shows or some shows you might be interested in. But right now, it's time for our weekly, Amanda's a weekly segment of the show right now. It's time for our weekly motivation with Amanda. Take it away.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Weekly Motivations. So for this week, the quote is, "If you do not know where you belong, you will adapt to where you are." So a lot of the times people will try to please other people in their life and set goals that other people want for them, whether that be your spouse or your parents, and you're always trying to please someone. And if you run your life that way, you may accomplish these goals, but these are not the goals of yourself and your true soul. So in order to find out where you belong, you need to throw yourself through every open door, figure out what you like and what you don't like, and once you have a sense of that, then you will become so much more fulfilled. And I guarantee if you keep living life in a way that you're only pleasing the people that you love, you will never have the satisfaction of knowing your own true purpose, fitting in where you belong, and really reaching your true potential. So with that, we are going to take another short break, and then we will introduce you to our wonderful guests. So we'll be right back. Thanks so much.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Well, thanks for hanging in there with us, gang. We're coming to you live from our beautiful Studio B here at BNN TV, and it's my pleasure and honor to introduce you and join me on the set here, Bala
Muthukaruppan.
Muthukaruppan. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
You were all ready to correct me, weren't you? You were like almost.
You're not the first one.
Thank you for coming in.
Well,
Bella.
thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
We're very proud to have you here. One of our executive producers is very fond of the work that you're doing. You're a fine artist.
Yeah.
And you've been painting. Are you in Boston?
Yep, I am in Boston.
Okay,
yes.
and how long have you been painting? How long have you been an artist? We were talking about earlier about when you consider yourself an artist, huh?
I think as long as I can remember it from elementary school, actually.
Is it something that did you study art in school? Because that's one of the big topics of conversation around
Not
here.
really. I mean, I did have art classes in my middle school and high school, but that's about it. I didn't have any formal training.
Okay.
Just, self-taught. And
Now, when did you kind of say to yourself, this is kind of cool, I'd like to kind of do this. This is what my calling is.
Let's see. I mean, I've been participating in a lot of contests, I guess, art contests as a child. And, I started to win some of them, and then I was like, wait, hey, this is something I'm good at.
It's always a good sign.
It's always a good sign, and I continued doing that for a while, and recently, I mean, in between, of course, with your day job and
we all have
family.
to compensate our income,
right,
and that always happens.
Family and kids, I couldn't focus a lot, but then, I figured a good way to kind of focus all my energy and all my stress and everything. I needed an outlet, and I kind of went back into my arts.
Right.
And that was.
You know what I want to do for our radio fans is make sure that we give them your website to go to because I know that we're going to be discussing and showing some of your work, and I think it'd be nice to make sure that they have that kind of information. So where can people go to see your work?
I have my shop in Etsy as well.
Great.
You can look up my name on Etsy and also a Facebook page. It's called Bala's Kalai. I can probably give the name so you can put that up later.
Well, we've got you spelled out on the website.
So if you can search my name, you'll find.
So if you go to It's All About Arts, you can find a lot of that information there, and I think it's important because I want people to enjoy. Do you have any? Here's what usually my first question is. Is if you had to develop a website and there was a drop-down menu that kind of described the kind of art you do.
Yeah.
If you're a sculptor or if you're what would you have to pick if you had to limit yourself to one or two kind of categories or?
So right now I'm doing mostly acrylic and oil painting.
Okay.
Also focus mostly on contemporary work right now and also traditional Indian folk art.
Okay.
I would say those two.
Indian folk art. I hope you brought some.
I did. I do have some pictures of that.
Because is working culturally an important element in your creativity?
Yes. I definitely was inspired by a lot of the traditional Indian art, and because I didn't go to school, and I started discovering a lot of these traditional forms of art online. Now that we have the internet and we have everything online, I started doing a lot of more research and trying to self-teach myself some of the traditional forms.
Is that difficult? Self-teaching,
it is, yes.
Feeling your way through?
It is, and but it's also interesting because then you kind of put your own spin to it. And then that becomes your own unique style as well.
I have to say, and I've intimated to this before that I feel that, and sorry to all you cats that are at the big universities and stuff, somebody who works through the process themselves, develops their own style, kind of learns from throwing canvases out,
right?
And stuff like that. I have a certain feel for those people. I'm one of those myself,
right?
And I feel that it's not that influence isn't good, not that studying the masters isn't great, or following their technique or their theories, but it really is you. Isn't it?
It is. I agree. I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah.
And you start to build your own style when you keep trying that, but also maintaining the original, the theme. But then you start to see a pattern that kind of represents you. Because I've noticed that the more work that I've done, and I've done all these shows, my friends were able to identify my work. Just based by looking at it.
I know who did that. And I think that's being able to consider your work signature.
Correct. Yeah.
Is really, really important.
I agree. It is important.
Do you have a dedicated space to work in? Do you have a gallery?
I don't have a studio per se, but I do have a room dedicated for all my art supplies, and oftentimes I don't end up doing it there. It just depends on where I feel like painting. Sometimes it's on my kitchen countertop.
That's where I paint. I can dig that.
Yeah.
Do you go outside at all?
I do paint in my backyard and sometimes in the park as well.
That's exciting.
That's exciting. Definitely. Outdoors is more motivational.
Can you work on more than one piece at a time?
I can, and that's kind of been my style. I don't know if that's something. I know I keep going back to this, maybe because I'm a Gemini, and I start all these projects and then just never finish it. So I think it works in my favor, especially when it comes to art, because I can work on multiple pieces at the same time, and keep going from one to another.
That's great. Before we start to look at any of your work, which I'm very excited to do, because because you're working on multiple pieces, do you know when one's done? Do you know when that second one is done and kind of put it to sleep?
Yeah, that's a great question because you know, a lot of times you do think that something's done and you put it to sleep, like as you said, but you come back to it after a few days and say, hey, you know, I think that needs a little bit more work, and I do oftentimes work on it later after I do think it's done. And sometimes what I do is I normally just let it hang in my living room and just looking at that piece.
Put it up.
Yeah, just looking at it continuously, you know, inspires me, gives me more ideas. Like I feel, you know, that it needs more work, or yeah, I just.
By hanging it in, is it the family? By hanging it in, do you have a bunch of people critiquing your work?
I do. The family's always the great critique.
My wife hates me because I'll say, gee, she'll be ready to hit me with it. How does that work for you? Does that work for you? Is it good?
It you know, sometimes it works in the favor, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know. You don't know what you're talking about.
What do you know?
Yeah, what do you know?
Is there anything that you do to set your mood, set your motivation? Is Bach on the radio, or?
So, to mood, to paint. Yes, I mean, music is always, you know, great. You know, helps with the mood, and oftentimes I find myself singing, like when I'm painting.
Great.
I just, you know, I don't know where the song's coming from, but I just think that I'm more happy when I start painting, and it just, you know,
it is fun.
It just, you know, takes you to another dimension, basically.
That's great. Well, can we look at some of your work?
Sure.
Can we bring some up? Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
That's great. We'll take up a piece to look at right now, and like I told everybody, go to the website and check it out because I think that you're going to really enjoy. Well, this looks like a tradition. This is more traditional Indian work, right?
That is correct. You identified correctly. So this is a Rajasthani painting. It's traditional Indian art that was done in the Mughal times when the emperors were. Yeah.
What we're looking at is a beautiful woman.
It's a beautiful,
dressed in beautiful.
Yes, a beautiful attire, and
I love the flower.
Yeah, lotus always has a significant meaning.
Has a thing, yeah.
And this is called Bani Thani, which means well dressed, basically.
Is it an acrylic or an oil?
This is an acrylic painting with embellishments. So I used like, you know, bindi basically. Normally you would use gemstones, but I used bindis to decorate that. And this other piece is also
very interesting
folk art called Varli, and that's also, you know, a very ancient form of Indian art where you use basic, you know, basic forms of, you know, triangles and circles to depict that. And it's actually a mural art which was normally done on the walls of the mud houses.
Right,
basically.
and that looks like it's depicting one half is during the day and the other half is at night.
That's exactly
correct.
How am I doing? You are doing awesome because I actually named that piece Day and Night, so that's what it is.
That's beautiful, beautiful.
Great.
Okay, next.
And this is also the Warli series, and so there are a couple of themes in the traditional art where there's a tree of life theme, and this is one of them. And you know, this was when I was going through a spiritual phase in my life, and
you got to share that.
Yeah, and you know, I was into meditation, and you know, when you think of meditation and spirituality, the first thing that came to my mind was, you know, the Buddha and enlightenment.
Yeah.
So I wanted to put the tree of life and that together in one theme, and this is called Enlightenment with the Buddha under the tree.
Our Janice's first husband, Bill Getz, did Mandelas.
Oh, I actually have a
hand.
mandala. I had a mandala too in some of the series. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, what else do we have? I recognize her.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So this was in Needham. We had a 100-year celebration in our for the library in Needham, and I had showcased this piece, which I call like a holy. It was inspired by an Indian festival, Holi festival, which you probably know about.
Yeah.
Where it's a festival of spring and colors. So we play with colors, you know, throwing colors at each other.
We used to celebrate India Day. We would go into. They did a big thing at the Esplanade and all of that, and we used to go in and do a lot of the cultural work. It was great. I really learned a lot. I know.
Good for you.
I know nothing until I started, you know, doing that type of thing. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and this was a new technique that I was trying to do, knife painting.
Well, you're using this looks like it's a lot of texture.
It's a lot of texture.
Flowers, right?
Yes, for the flowers. I used a knife for the texture. And it was much harder than I thought it was. It took me a very long time to get all those you know, textures in there.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful work, and all of this can be seen at your website. Do you have a show coming up or anything?
Not right now, but I will be showing in the Needham Open Studios soon. Next time.
When is Needham Open Studios?
So we just had one this spring, and it's got over earlier this year.
How was your experience with Open Studios?
It was
Did you go to a public place, or did you invite people into your home?
No, we went to a public space.
Okay.
I shared it with 2 other artists.
That's good.
It was actually at a bank. It was a great space, and I think it was a great experience for me.
That's great.
We had a lot of traffic and a lot of folks who were art enthusiasts who stopped by, and it was nice interacting with them. I think one of the best compliments I got was from a 10-year-old who looked at my painting, and she said it reminded her of Monet. And I was like, wow, that is what more
out of the mouths of babes.
I was like, what more can an artist ask for?
Not much. Bella, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. And when you're closer to another show or something, can you please let us know?
I will definitely let you know.
Just so that we can give you a shout out or bring you back to talk a little bit more about it.
Absolutely.
Would you do that?
I will.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Listen, gang, you're listening to us on WBCA 102.9 on your FM dial. And watching us, of course, at our great Studio B here at BNN TV. Listen, we'll be back in just a minute. Old friend Jim Higgins is in the building. We're going to be talking to him about a lot of things, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back, gang. Thanks an awful lot for hanging in there with us. We are at BNN TV's Channel 9 on your Comcast dial, or if you're RCN, we're Channel 15, and of course 102.9 on WBCA in the FM dial. But right now, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to, if you've ever come down Cummins Highway into Rosendale Square, or driving down Washington Street past Adams Park, and that great big beautiful building there, the transportation building right across from the post office. If you've noticed, there was a beautiful mural on there with these big beautiful flowers, and we are so pleased and honored to have in the studio the artist who put brush to brick and got that done.
Yeah,
Jim, it's great. It's so good to see you.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to see you again, too.
It's good to see you. You know, I sat across from that on the municipal building stairs day after day and just watched that whole
I think I can remember a little kid sitting over there pestering us.
That might have been me. You know, I was just out of high school and I was being a musician and a little bit of a hippie, I guess, a little bit, and I just thought this was the most amazing thing.
I think we were all hippies back then.
I think
My mom
showed me
sure
some
was.
pictures of, your mom
My
was.
mom was for sure.
How are you?
I'm fine, Glenn. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's always great. I feel like I'm more myself in Boston than I am anyplace else.
You've done so many things, so many incredible things here in Boston, and we've been richer for it. You know, and before we get too far, I do want to say that the mural now is gone.
Yeah, I haven't had the courage to go over and look at the.
I've been forced to. I actually watched them take the windows out, and it was bittersweet for me.
I understand they saved some of the bricks with the paint.
They did. They saved some of them. I think they're going to be handing them out. I have to give Aaliyah a call tomorrow before you go.
It's exciting. It's exciting to think that.
Yeah, they can live on. I would imagine they'd be able to work them into, whatever.
Into something else.
Yeah. Or at least you should get some piece of them. But I think it also opens you up to something that big again. It's that was such a large undertaking that. Now that that's down, that's like, okay, now now you have something new.
Well, I think it was actually 45 years ago.
Yeah. It's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we're doing, of course, is we're preserving the view of it.
Yeah.
And I believe that we're working on getting something mounted inside to represent the art. One of the things that I think that people didn't realize as you're riding by on the bus was that there was an inscription written on there, and if I may I?
Sure, go right ahead.
And I've always known it was there because I saw it written up there, and it's something that whenever somebody would talk to me about that mural, oh gee, it's it's kind of like it's falling apart. Maybe we should get it fixed. Maybe we should take it down. I always make sure. And this quote was there right till the end. You could read this right up to the last day.
Can you read it?
May the longtime sun shine upon you, all love surround you. In the pure light within you, guide you all the way on.
I'm going to steal that for weekly motivation.
That was the message that mural was giving the people of Rosendale.
And then I also put on it right after that for the folks of Rosendale.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it was if you don't remember what we're talking about, do we have a great shot of that mural that we can put up? And
one of the things
for people to see.
I'll always remember the summer when I painting it that summer.
There it is.
In its glory.
The neighborhood was very hospitable to me. They were very nice. Dunkin' Donuts, I think, was there. So, there was a donut shop that supplied donuts for us and coffee.
Well, that's a huge undertaking.
But I'll always remember. There's two places that I'll always remember, and that was the cafe that was just the opposite side of the square there.
Yeah.
It was Diane's.
Diane's, yes.
And I think the lady in there, I believe her name was Syl. Is that right?
She is. They're still there. Susan is who you're talking about.
I don't.
Well, Syl's was a little diner.
Okay, there was a
couple of doors down was Diane's Bakery.
And Diane's Bakery. Okay.
Yeah.
But I remember one of them. I think it was the diner.
Okay.
Actually, I had mentioned that my favorite pie was a cherry rhubarb.
Oh yeah.
And you don't very often see cherry rhubarb. And one day I went in there and they had a cherry rhubarb pie they baked up for me. So.
That's one of the things I love about Rosendale is that we're hospitable and it's turned into this amazing community. You got to make sure you go through before you go home. I know that you're heading out very, very soon to go back to Florida, but.
I'll plan on going by there tomorrow, actually.
Good.
So for the people that are listening to us on the radio and didn't get to see the picture, can you explain what the building was like?
Yeah. Well, actually, a lot of people thought it was an old church. it kind of had the church look to it with the big arch door. You walk up
brick
stairways,
building, yeah.
big red brick building. And I understand there was some architectural elements of that building that was kind of groundbreaking when it was originally built. It was state-of-the-art construction or something of that
And you
sort.
painted the whole side of the building, right?
Yes. There were 3 giant arched windows that were practically from floor to roof. And they, at one time, I guess, were glass, but they had been bricked in.
Wow.
And the mural spread across the whole side of the building and included those arched windows. So the design, when I designed it, I tried to take into consideration that there were 3 large bricked-in windows there, and that is how I came up with the 3 large flowers. I call them sunrise flowers. They're you can also call them sunflowers, but each flower overlapped each other, and each flower was approximately 25 feet in diameter.
No, that was huge.
Flowers,
they were huge. And the building, I'm glad you brought up the building, Amanda, because the building is the partner building to this building that we're in, that BNN TV and WBCA broadcast from. They were power stations.
It had been, it was at the time actually a power station, and when I
was it still functioning when you were painting?
When they took me over there, this whole thing was done under Mayor White's Department of Cultural Affairs, with Catherine Kane was the director.
Kathy Kane, right?
And it was the Summer Thing program.
Yep.
At the time, the city had commissioned quite a few, numerous murals around the city of Boston. I'm very proud to say mine was there the longest. Mine was the last of that whole era.
Well, there were a group of us that fought. The people wanted to change. People wanted to do this and that, but there was a small group of us that chained ourselves to the building.
Well, I'm glad to see you got
away with it. Yeah.
But they brought me over there to show me the building initially, and they brought me inside to see what was inside.
Amazing,
and it was very sterile, as I remember, very clean. Had I think 2 large turbines, electrical turbines in there that generated electricity, and
boy, can we show?
It was almost
show
like
that
a laboratory.
Shot? Can we bring up the shots that he has brought in for us to see?
That one is probably about as color correct as any photograph I have. And these are old Ektachrome photographs. That is me standing there with my arms up in the air.
Just to give you an idea of the size.
The size.
That was in 1971, and just above my head, that pedal right above my head,
that's where the inscription
is the one with the inscription on it.
Right.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah. Now, this is when we were painting it. I was taking the picture, but I had a helper who, really a great friend of mine. He was like my sidekick and a great buddy, Eddie Ludwak. And he lived in Tip Top Street. I forget the neighborhood in
the Jamaica Plain.
Right around here somewhere.
Yeah.
And he helped me put up the scaffolding. He was the first one that had the courage to go up on the scaffolding.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, he was swinging around there a couple of days before I had the nerve to get up there. And we designed this mural on a grid, and I forget the scale. It was something like a quarter inch to a foot or something. But I drew it out on a grid, and then we used a drawstring, a pop string, and we put the grid on the wall, and I went around, I hand drew the mural. We also used a white base paint called a gesso.
Yeah.
We gessoed, put I think 2 or 3 coats of gesso on the brick. And then
that's a lot of gesso.
Several coats of color. I tried to get the vibrancy of the colors by putting transparent layers of color on top of each
Yeah,
other.
because you have bright blues, dark blues,
Yeah, right.
oranges, reds, yellows.
Beautiful.
And then
Look at
once
those
I got the
cars.
colors and the paint just the way I wanted it, I had found a paint, a very viscose, clear plastic type paint. It was actually used for aviation, and I think it was called acryloid. It was a mineral-based paint.
Right.
That I put over the entire mural, and which is one of the reasons it probably
protected it.
lasted 41
Yeah.
years, Amanda.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. That's great. That's
It actually,
fabulous.
it seemed to.
And here's
it seemed
kind of what happened
last
to it
long.
after the years.
Yeah. You see, the colors are
Weather.
still vibrant,
Still
Yeah.
there, yeah.
but and it's funny the bricked in portions, which is obviously the newer brick. I don't know
They're old as
when
well.
they bricked it in, but the newer brick retained the paint better than the older brick.
Fabulous.
I also, people that were nice to us during the painting of it, I picked out bricks that you could see with binoculars, and I put their name on the brick.
Yeah, great.
And you know, I don't know if anybody found those bricks or not. But
Well, you're
That's
going to
a
find out
great
tomorrow,
tip.
because I'm
That's
going to call
awesome.
Leah over at the Main Street office. I want you to drop by and see her. I'm going to tell her that you're coming.
Okay, great.
And
That'd be fun. I look forward to it.
yeah, and she'll walk you around and show you a little bit of what we've been doing since you've been here.
Well, one of the reasons I'm so excited about being here, and I wanted to be here, was because somebody, it might have been you, put on the Facebook page,
Yeah.
Keep Rozzy Quirky,
Yeah.
a picture of the mural.
Yeah.
And I think there was like 250
People went berserk. Yeah, they all wanted
and
to
every
remember
one
it.
of them was positive.
Yeah.
It brought tears to my eye. I ran, I showed it to my wife. I said, I can't believe it. Look at this. And so I called you up right away.
Yeah.
And you invited me on your show, which
And it's been a great pleasure having you here.
But then
It's a great story.
I went out, I got canvas, and I'm doing right now a series of paintings of the building with the mural on.
That's great. We're going to get one of those to be in. I think one of those should be hanging someplace inside.
Well, if
sure.
anyone that's interested can email me.
I'll lead that charge for you.
Yeah.
Jim, I want to thank you for being here. We're
my pleasure.
running out of time.
But
Thank you,
really
wife, for
great
letting
being
us
here.
take you away
Yes,
from your
yes.
trip. Because
Well-
your bride went home and she said you dropped her off at the airport and came here, right?
I just took her to the airport and I set the
See ya.
GPS from the airport to here and came right here.
I want to thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Jim.
What I want to bring my one-man band. Back in those days, I played a one-man
I
band.
know. We gotta get you in here
One
and
day
play.
I want to bring my one-man band.
That'll
in.
be great.
I'll get
I'm a
Listen,
little
gang.
afraid to bring it on the airplane, actually.
Yeah.
I think they.
You have to get special permission. I don't have that phone number. Listen, gang, thanks an awful lot. Jim, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Amanda,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thanks for everything you do in
Thank you.
Roslindale.
I appreciate it. I want to thank the gang over at WBCA 102.9 at the FM. Thank you for getting us out there into people's cars and headphones. Listen, gang, thanks an awful lot for being here. Get out there and do something artful, please. And like I like to say every week, please keep the forefront of your minds. Our mothers, fathers, sons and daughters, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews on foreign soil. Do something artful, do it for them. We'll see you next week, okay?
See you next week.
Bye-bye now.